How are you doing?
Well, we're fighting with the phone and computer issues
Okay, well, we can hear you
constantly.
just fine. If you want to introduce yourself and talk about what you do and how your system works and what our action is that we need to take, what our responsibility is as people.
All right. First thing we got to do is we already know what the problem is. We don't need any talking heads talking about the problem. We already know what the problem is. Now it's how we get remedy, and that's what I'm going to offer you. If you guys go to our website, constitutionallawgroup.us, go to resources, start looking at the affidavits. This is how we drain the swamp, okay? We start filing affidavits against every public servant that's acting outside their oath of office. That oath of office is the linchpin we're going to use to hang them by. Now, an affidavit, let's get this real clear. An unrebutted affidavit stands as fact in court, okay? What we do after when they try to, well, they're not even going to try, to be honest with you, because they don't want to perjure themselves. This is how we handle cleaning the swamp, is we file an affidavit against each and every one of the public servants that's out there that's in violation of their oath of office. We have them answer it, okay? They're not going to rebut it. And unrebutted, as I said, stands as fact in law. Now we take that to a judge and we ask for a summary judgment against that politician. Okay. And the same thing with businesses that are forcing you to wear a mask and what have you. You file against them. It's not that I want to go after the businesses, but I'll go after Costco's all day long. I've already got, I think it's up on our site, the lawsuit that I filed against Spirit Airlines. These are all things that you guys can use to fight back the tyranny that we're under right now. And I'm open for questions at any time. Please tell me they're still hearing me.
I do have a question. As far as public servants, do they have to be elected or can they be unelected?
Okay. All public servants, all government entities have to take that oath of office. That includes your dog catcher, okay? Your trash man. They all have to take that oath of office to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution. Now, you need to get in touch with your sheriff and find out where he's at, because your sheriff is the most powerful law enforcement officer in your county. He can arrest the president of the United States. He can arrest your governor. Now, we got to get the sheriff handbooks into the sheriff's hands and get them to start standing up for the rights of the people. The sheriff's job is to protect the people from intrusive government. In the old days, it was known as the Shire of the Reef. He was the right-hand man of the king, and he was the one that was his enforcer. Now, we are a sovereign people. That's the one thing that made America different from every other nation, is we are the sovereign. The power lies within the people, not in the government. We devised government for one reason, actually three, but the main reason was to protect our rights, then protect our borders from foreign invaders, and to coin our money. That's it. They have no business in healthcare. They have no business in Social Security. These are all things that they're doing, and we've allowed it to happen because we have been asleep at the wheel and let them run the show. We, the people, have to stand up, take back our authority, and we need to hold these public servants accountable for their crimes against humanity and treason and sedition. Now, the question was, what can we do? Well, first thing is we start using the affidavits. Start filing the affidavits. Get in touch with your sheriff. get your sheriff to back you up, because most of these sheriffs are pretty good guys or ladies. And I've spoke to over 600 of them myself personally. We just got to back them up and give them the courage to stand up against tyranny and defend we the people. I'm sure there was a question on that.
Yeah, so this is Julie again. We have talked to our sheriff, and he is not enforcing any mandates here in Larimer County, but
Right.
we asked him to come speak to our group and to talk about
Right.
his role and what he can do for us, and he won't do it because he doesn't want he's a politician, and he doesn't want the
Right,
attention
right.
of coming into a building with a bunch of us, and also not social distancing, not wearing masks, all that. So he won't enforce it, yet we don't feel like he's really willing to take a stand for us.
Well, let me ask you this. Is he protecting the businesses against the health department and the liquor board?
What would that look like if he was doing that?
Well, in other words, that you can't close businesses. And if you have a business that's not social distancing or wearing face masks or requiring it, is he standing up for the rights of the business owner?
It's never gone that far. So everybody's just living in fear of the governor and of the fines and of their business being shut down.
Yeah,
But nobody's pushed
those
it.
fines are unlawful. Those fines are unlawful, and you don't even have to pay them. Okay,
Right.
That's what I've been explaining to people. Even Bob the barber, they were trying to shut him down up there in Snohomish, Washington, when I traveled from Texas up to Washington to defend him. They were going to nail him. They were threatening to nail him with $90,000 in fines and throw him in jail. Guess what? Bob is still cutting hair to this day. He's not social distancing. He's not wearing a mask. And we've done that for over 10,000 businesses across the United States. We have not failed one time on talking health inspectors and liquor board and state troopers out of businesses. Once you call me on the phone, I sit there and explain the law to them, and then I explain quite simply, now that you know the law and you're in violation of your oath of office, if you knowingly and willingly trespass on this business owner, I can take you for your house, your car, your swimming pool, and everything you own and leave you homeless on the street. They won't go that route because they know I'm right.
Yeah. So this meeting that we have once a week is to encourage business owners to stand up. Don't obey the mandates. Don't obey the restrictions. It's killing your business. And
It's not law.
Don't worry about the threats, because they're just threats. The sheriff won't enforce
They cannot be backed up by law. But we have to educate the sheriffs that they need to be protecting the business owners. And that was the whole point of us doing the Sheriff's Summit, is to educate sheriffs across the nation, not to let this happen. And we're trying to find the right sheriff to start arresting governors. Okay? And I think once we get one governor to fall, the rest will fall like dominoes. And then with what's going on right now, I think you guys all know that I'm friends with Sidney Powell. And the voter fraud that's going on currently is another thing, that these governors actually were getting kickbacks to put these Dominion voting machines in their state. And that's voter fraud. That's a felony. These governors can start falling from that alone.
Yep. So we did ask our sheriff about the CSPOA. Is that the correct acronym?
Yeah, it's Constitutional Sheriff and Peace Officers Association, which I've been a member of for quite some time.
So even though our sheriff says, yeah, I'm a constitutional sheriff and I uphold the Constitution, he does not belong to that organization and was not very
Doesn't have
positive
to.
about it.
Doesn't have to. You don't have to be a member of the Constitutional Sheriff. It just would be nice. I actually taught Rick Mack, who's the president and the one that brought down the Brady bill and lived to talk about it when he went up against the Clintons. Okay. He learned more about the law he was at our first sheriff's summit, and he was our guest speaker among many others, but he was actually the guest host speaker. And he learned more about the law on our way back to the airport than he ever thought he knew before in his life. He was like, well, Rick, how do you go up against a court system? I said, you've got to hold everybody's feet to the fire.
Hey, whoever's talking in the back, can you mute yourself, please?
But we do have remedies. That's the whole key. Is we have got to take it upon ourselves to start standing up and getting this paperwork done, filing against, I don't care if it's a mom and pop store. I really don't want to put mom and pop out of business, but if they're going to follow these worthless mandates that have no basis in law, you've got to teach people. And I've had more sheriffs come to me and thank me because they had no idea the power that they have.
Well, that's just because you're so awesome.
Can I ask a question really quick? Can I ask a question just as an example, because we're meeting together tonight as business owners.
Right.
So let's say the coffee shop down the street has been asking people to wear masks, but is honoring the medical exemption, blah, blah. But the health department decides to make an example out of them and starts coming after them hardcore, which is actually happening in our city. Who does the coffee shop? Who do those owners file the affidavit to? And after they file this affidavit, what would that process look like from the standpoint of a small business owner?
Okay. First thing you do is you get the name of the health inspector that's coming in there and trespassing on the rights of the business owner. Okay. You get his individual or her individual name, get their business card. And then the next thing you do is you file an affidavit against them in their private capacity because they took an oath of office. Then you file against the health inspector, supervisor. We already have charges in California, believe it or not, the most liberal state you can imagine. But we've got the sheriff actually accepted it. And those businesses aren't being harassed anymore. We filed criminal charges against one of the supervisors of the health department. 2 other senior executives of the health department quit their jobs because they realized the gravity of what we have. Courage, I can't teach. Law, I can. And when they're in violation of the law, you go after them. You don't take no for an answer. The one question I always use is, by what authority do you have to trespass on my business? What authority? Now, I don't know if you know anything about the first business I opened was March 21st, and that was a bar in Pennsylvania, Genesee, Pennsylvania. Okay. And I got a phone call when I was still in Texas at 1 o'clock in the morning. The business owner said, Rick, I'm open. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know, I'm not serving drunks. I'm not serving minors, and I close at the right time. But the state police are here. They're threatening my patrons with $500 fines for not social distancing and not wearing masks, and they're going to fine me $1,000. I say, great. Put the son of a gun on the phone. Within 5 minutes, I explained the law of due process to this state trooper. And by the time I was done, within 5 minutes, he did exactly what I told him to do. He apologized to the patrons and the business owners and got his butt out of there with his other officers. And that bar is still open to this day.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful because I think in our community, we're just in this in the beginning stages of where things are really going to start coming to a head between the health department and the business owners. So we need to be prepared for that.
I have a question. I have a restaurant, and in my restaurant, I have to put up all these stupid signs, and now they're telling me for everybody I serve, I have to get their name and number for contact
That's all
tracing,
nonsense.
and I'm not gonna
That's
do
all
that.
nonsense. No, you do not have to follow these false edicts. These false edicts are absolutely insane. You cannot trespass on the rights of anybody without due process of law. And that's where you got to start looking into your discrimination notices, those things, because it is an act of discrimination if you're doing those things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also when I ask the health department lady when she comes and says, you know, on what authority do you have to trespass? And she says, because they can come in and do a regular health inspection.
That's it. Anything that deals with COVID-19, as I told, what was that jerk's name in California? What was Brian? Yeah, the one he was the main supervisor out there in El Dorado County. And I told him straight up, I said, Brian, I've warned you 3 times. Now I'm filing criminal charges on you. And guess what? We did. And guess what? The sheriff accepted them as harassment and trespass.
And so
And
if they start doing like health department inspections like every week now because they don't like the way, is that harassment?
I don't care what they like. I really don't care what they like. What is in the contract? You pull out your health department license, okay? You read it. That is the linchpin you're going to use to hang these goofballs with. You have to use your license, okay? Read it. Make a copy. Show me where I'm in violation, Mr. Health Inspector or Miss Health Inspector. Show me where I'm in violation. Well, COVID-19, no, that's not in my license. That doesn't exist. That's a fiction that you're trying to hang me on, and I'm not playing the game. But what you're doing by your continued harassment is a crime.
So simple. I wish I would have thought about it like 10 months ago, but thank you.
Well, yeah, the discrimination form, that's what you bring. These are all small business owners. So the main focus that I would say is open your doors, stop the social distancing. And we have things where we have one of my favorites is Apple Bistro in California. They have our flyers on the door saying no mask required, all that kind of stuff. Telling people, wake up, and they can't shut them down.
So my question is for like taekwondo or dance or anything where the health department doesn't regularly come in ever.
Yeah.
Then we can bar them.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with anything that violates the Fourth Amendment of due process, number one. And I don't know if you guys are aware, I'm the one that's also defending, Attila's Gym, Frank and Ian, that were arrested for opening their gym. Mm-hmm. They've got a multi-million-dollar lawsuit right now against the governor and the police department that arrested them. It's a matter of taking action. And we, the people, have to take back our republic. And the way it's done is just going and doing these simple affidavits. Tell your story. And if we have a judge that doesn't give us a summary judgment, then you file against that judge.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You have to keep swinging the hand. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry. Can you go through the affidavit with everybody? So I read through it today and I understand it. We might need help from you or somebody else getting the particular articles for the state of Colorado input in here And once we get that,
Right.
then we can customize it. Each person can customize it. So can you
Right,
explain how
and
to
that's
file
what
the
I expect.
affidavit?
Yeah, that's what I expect you guys to do is actually take action. Take it upon yourself. Be responsible for saving your own state and your businesses and bring back true justice. And yeah, we've got, and it'd be, how would I say, be too much for me to try to explain it over this period. The easiest thing that you can do is read the instructions. We have set it up the best we can do that a fourth grader can read the instructions and follow through.
And there's other states that have templates.
And there's other, yeah, Donna's correct. There's other states that have templates up there. You definitely want to get the Constitution for Colorado. Get that, and then look at what applies to you in Colorado. Okay?
Okay. So
It's
we're
going to
gonna
take
have
some work. Freedom's not free.
Right. So I'm talking to our group here, but we just purchased a membership with Legal Shield for Keep Colorado Free and Open. I don't know how far it's going to apply to everybody else, but Serena and Terry and I are going to be calling on Tuesday. So what we can ask them is if they can customize this for Colorado and pull out the particular Colorado articles that apply to this.
Yeah.
And
Can I
all
make
of these
can I
files
make a
are
suggestion?
on-
Yeah, can I make a suggestion and a warning? Okay?
Sure.
Whenever you deal with a bar attorney, okay, you have to realize these bar attorneys do not work in your best interest. And there's a reason why. Every bar attorney is an esquire under the British Crown. The reason our judicial system is so screwed up is because we allowed the bar membership in 1909 through Chicago, Illinois. Then it spread through the nation like a cancer cell. Bar attorneys are esquires. Okay, that's one step under a knight. Ask any bar attorney if he's an esquire, and you'll know I'm telling you the truth. Our corruption is behind them. When you hire a bar attorney, you're really going to love this. It's in the law books, and I can show it to you. When you hire a bar attorney, that automatically makes you a ward of the court. You're an imbecile of unsound mind or an infant. That's why they have a 98% success rate when they're prosecuting people. Okay? There are more people in prison in the United States. Actually, it's even worse. There's more people in prison in the state of Texas than are in prison in the state of China. And yes, China is a state, by the way.
Wow.
All nations are states.
Wow.
Yeah, most people don't realize it. The judicial system is that corrupt. And that's why I really want people to start reading my good friend Sidney Powell's book. She was the one that got General Flynn out. She's now acting as advisor, legal counsel for Donald Trump.
Okay.
And she's a smart cookie. She's
Yes,
a
she
smart
is.
cookie. She was good at. I asked her to join the constitutional law group, and she goes, "Rick, I've got enough heat on me right now. You are one of those renegades that I love you, but I don't need any more flack on me." But her book is awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Look at her writings, and she's absolutely brilliant, and she's a Texan that doesn't take no sass.
Okay. So this is
Right.
on his website, on that Constitutional Law Group website. All the files are under the resources tab. So
Mhm.
yes, so everybody needs to go
And
download.
definitely get the
and then put your
definitely get
story
the
in here, how you've been affected. That's what makes the affidavit personalized. How have you been personally injured by what's going on?
mhm.
And then what we'll do is then we'll file them all together So
Well,
just
you
make
can file
one
them
and then-
individually.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah,
that.
you-
I don't
you-
mean
Yeah.
I don't mean that I'm going to take them
Yeah.
in a group. I'm saying this is a mass
Right.
action that we're doing together.
Gotcha. But everybody get that sheriff handbook. I can promise you this: that sheriff handbook. You want to learn some law, you'll learn at least 1/10 of what I know just from reading the sheriff handbook. It's only 84 pages. And this is how we have to use our sheriffs that's what their whole thing is to protect us from intrusive government. When they start going against we the people, guess what? We call a recall on them, and we go and do a recall, and we go get 4,000 signatures, and we get them out of office.
Mr. Martin, can I ask a question? I agree with you on using Legal Shield as a membership option for legal advice may perhaps not be the best use of money. But can I also ask the question is what is the cost that you're looking at to file an affidavit or for this process to take place? What is the cost?
I don't charge anything, number one, to do this kind of stuff. Number two, the cost is going to be every state's different. It could be a $20 filing fee. You just follow the instructions. Your major cost is going to be your process server if you're serving your governor or what have you. Okay, that's going to be the major cost, is getting in the process server. Okay, and you get a bunch of people that want to pitch in. That's the way to rock and roll it.
And what is that cost of getting into the process server?
It can be anywhere from $75 to $150. But when it comes to saving your business, that's chump change.
Well, and our public.
And as I stated, we don't charge anything. We work off donations alone. That's the way I've been ever since 1996. Now I'm going to turn you over to Donna real quick, and I'm going to step away. I got to go take care of something real quick.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Okay, so we went over the affidavits and the cost. One other tip is call ahead of time. Do you know if your courthouse is open? Because we're coming into some problems with people saying that it's not completely closed, but you can go into the front door and drop off your paperwork. Do not do that. They'll have like a little foyer area, and they say, oh, well, yeah, then we pick up at the end of the day and then it's processed. And no, do not do that. But then we have other states that, they're fully open. So call ahead of time, just so you know. And also because of COVID, hours change as well. So, do a little homework ahead of time, especially if it's a distance that you have to drive to get there.
The affidavit that we file against the governor, we have to go to the federal courthouse in Denver, right?
Yeah, that's recommended. That's what he wants you to do. I mean, in the affidavit, if you read it, we can go to any court, but with the governor, yes, do the federal.
The federal, and you file it with that clerk.
Yes, with the county clerk, under
So
miscellaneous.
we can take a field trip and all photo op.
Yeah, I mean, it's best to do it that way because you got more courage. You got people that can, you have, evidence that you filed.
And let them know that the governor right now does have a mass tort claim against him, which his attorneys are trying to fight back and try to stall in court, calling your governor right now a domestic terrorist.
That was filed back in
That was filed back in April.
April, yeah.
And they're trying to stall it in the courtroom right now.
That's why the beauty of the affidavit is timetable. Where the mass tort claim, we didn't have that. But just so you know, that mass tort claim, we put it into the affidavit. So that full mass tort claim wording and everything is in the affidavit. Number 5, the master template. So it's kind of like they're getting double whammy.
Okay. Donna, there was a question here about how do we keep the governor from stalling with the affidavits? And I think the answer is that in the affidavit, there's a 10-day limit for them to respond
Yeah.
with a rebuttal,
14
right?
business days.
And then
Yeah.
after that, you
Yeah,
move to the next level.
Yes, it's 10 business days or 14 days total, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, if that's how we get them, we have the time frame. Where, like we said, as before, we didn't have that.
Yeah, we didn't have a timetable. Now
Mhm.
we're doing it this way, going with an affidavit.
Mhm.
And as I stated earlier, an affidavit, an unrebutted affidavit, stands as fact in court.
Right.
No judge can rule against it because there's no disagreement. They tacitly agreed that everything in that affidavit was fact and true.
Mhm.
And they have to rebut it with an affidavit of fact and truth. If they try to do so, they're going to perjure themselves and they won't do it. And if we get enough people doing this, filing that, we're going to take a governor down.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to take, and we got to start from the bottom up, top down approach.
Right.
We go after the mayors. We go after city council.
The school superintendents as well.
Yeah.
We have several that have already filed because
And what
they're forcing the kids to wear the
it's a
Mask.
felony what they're doing to
Uh-huh.
our offspring. What's
child
the felony?
endangerment, child isolation, all of that. And we have a template for schools. So if any of you have school age offspring, I should be saying, I think it's number 6 is the one for the schools and for superintendent, and you can try that. Shoot, what was I going to say? Something about governor. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Nobody is above the law. And we have to get back our court system.
Mhm. Well, that's what I was going to say. That's why it is extremely important to do the process server with the governor, because then you know for a fact, you've got the evidence that he was served or she was served.
Okay. So then
Okay.
the next question is, I forgot somebody was saying, if the health department comes in and they're threatening me, people can call you, right? We have the sheet printed
Yeah.
out for everybody that basically says, you
Yeah.
have no right to be here. And if they continue to harass, then we put them on the phone with you.
Yeah, call Rick's
Hold on.
cell number. What?
Bottom line is, we do not answer any questions without assistance of counsel.
That's what you need to say. Did you hear him? You don't answer any questions without your assistance of counsel.
And then at that point, you call me. You do not answer any questions, period. I don't answer any questions without my assistance of counsel. Then you call me on my phone.
To make it personal.
Yeah, you can call
All
me
right.
on my personal.
Yeah, let me give you the personal cell. Now this is strictly just for emergencies. Are you ready? Are you there? Can you guys hear us? Did we lose him? He keeps
Yes,
cutting
we
out.
can hear you. Sorry, we have a microphone that we're passing around. So go for it.
That's okay, everybody. Be quiet. It's 361-342-7760.
Hi, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I was hoping maybe to get some more details around. So my understanding is it's the right of the states to govern the interstate commerce within the borders of the state. Can you explain
Okay.
to me from a constitutional standpoint, how does the state being able to govern interstate commerce interfere with our Constitution and with federal law, or indirectly interfere with federal law?
Okay. It's an interesting question. Now, when you're dealing with interstate commerce, okay, the states are always over the federal. Always remember that, because it was the states that created a federal government, okay? And it was we the people that created our state governments. Now, statutes and codes and all that stuff, what they've done is how would I put it in simple terms? They BS'd us into believing that we're not what we are. And the way they've done that was under the Social Security Act. And statutes and codes only apply to government employees. Now, how many people are government employees? Every one of you, if you have a Social Security number, because that's a government retirement fund. That's how they trap you. You didn't know it. But under Contract Law 101, any contract that does not give full disclosure is null and void. Same thing with your driver's license. How many people believe that in order to travel up and down the freeways, you need a driver's license? I haven't had one since 2001. And you guys, if you know anything about me, I've traveled all across the country, back and forth many times over, and my plates are the Gladstone flag that simply say, "Don't tread on me." I've only been pulled over once since I've traveled across the United States.
Yeah.
And I've got Donna here as a witness. She was in the automobile.
Mm-hmm.
2 state troopers and 1 sheriff. And guess what? A, I did not get arrested, and B, I did not get a ticket. And then when they walked away, I had 3 new friends that got an education like they've never seen before. As an answer to the question, interstate commerce. That's the only thing that the states and the federal government can actually control is interstate commerce.
Right. So my question is, like, for example, right, the current marijuana laws that are permissible here in Colorado, my understanding is that the reason why they're illegal is because they actually go against the ability of the federal government to be able to apply the law, which is that drugs are illegal. And so anything that is indirectly or directly against federal law is therefore unconstitutional. So that's why I'm asking,
Right. Here's the thing, is you've got to study law a little bit. And what I mean on that is the Constitution is common law. What is common law? Common law is there must be an injured party. Without an injured party, no evil has been committed. That's a crime, okay? Smoking a doobie is not a crime. You heard that, right?
Yeah, but
Because
I'm not fighting that issue. I'm just asking the question and using that as an example. But what I was trying to discern was any of these current implications that are being mandated by the health department that actually currently are affecting are not law and are currently negatively affecting businesses. And so that's why I was trying to ask was, do they have is that even constitutional?
Right. If it's not constitutional, it's not law. And you can go back to Marbury versus Madison. The older the case, the more precedent it has in law, the fact that it was never overturned. So you go back to Marbury versus Madison, an 1803 case where Chief Justice John J. Marshall clearly stated in his ruling, any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is no law, has no force of law, and can be ignored. And then I can take you up to speed to a case 1996. This is Sheriff Mack's case. And what Justice Scalia, God rest his soul, stated was the Constitution is there to protect us from our own best intentions. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You have remedy all around you. You have the Constitution, state and federal, and you have Supreme Court rulings backing up everything you say, okay? That's how you make a precedent.
So is there any vehicle for us to directly go to federal court?
Yeah, file against your governor in federal court.
And is that
Put
with the
that affidavit. Yeah, put your affidavit together and file it in federal court. And we have all the instructions on there for you to do so. And we have one that's already going in right now. It's just a matter of finding the right sheriff to make the arrest. Because I don't know how these governors think that they're above the law. They're acting in treason and sedition against we the people of the United States. And it's our responsibility to start holding their feet to the fire. If we don't, it will be bloodshed. And the whole focus that the Constitutional Law Group is behind is let's not have bloodshed, but let's use the courts and let's clean up the courts.
So, Rick, am I understanding the strategy correctly that it is your suggestion to find affidavits, have them written, and go to the right sheriff person in order to arrest the governor of XYZ state in order to hold them to a trial at some point in time for an saying that it is unconstitutional to do these mandates? Is that the strategic broad sense approach?
Well, in a sense, yes, but where you're going to go is not just after the governor. You're going to go after mayors. You're going to go after city council members. You're going to go after health inspectors. They cannot rebut their criminal activity.
And have you faced any difficulties in this? Like, I understand, success stories are motivating, but I believe that unsuccessful stories can be teachable moments. So can you tell us where others have failed in their attempt and what you have learned from that?
Yeah, what I've seen is the ones that have filed in the federal court systems against these governors did not do their briefs correctly because they did not ask for remedy. And that's an issue right there. But if we stay out of the courts and we automatically start doing affidavits that must be rebutted by these public servants, that's the quickest way to get remedy. And if there is a judge that does not give you a summary judgment, because as we already stated, an unrebutted affidavit stands as fact in court. And if a judge does not give you your summary judgment, he's acting in treason of his oath of office because that's his duty. He's supposed to. Where I go next is go after that judge. And we just got to keep going after all the ones in the food chain, if you know what I'm saying. And that means city council members. That means mayors. That means everybody acting outside their oath of office. That oath of office is there for a reason, and it's what we're going to use to hang them by.
So I guess what is then the health department, if say you go after a health department inspector to say, well, the CDC and the WHO has declared this a pandemic and it is an emergency, and therefore this is why this is the authority.
Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence, number one. Show me the evidence, because I have evidence contrary going all the way back to 2003. And the fact that you took an oath of office, being a health inspector officer, if you knowingly and willingly continue to trespass on my rights, I will have no other recourse other than to file against you in your private capacity. That's simple. You got to put the fear back in government. When a government fears its people have freedom. When people fear their government, they have tyranny. It's up to we, the people, to start putting fear back into them.
Yeah.
That's why I called it domestic tourism. Because they're spreading false fear with no basis whatsoever. And as I stated earlier, in the Justice Scalia case, against when we took down the Brady bill, Sheriff Mack took down the Brady bill, and here's what Justice Scalia stated one more time, just so it gets in. The Constitution is there to protect us from our own best intentions. Congress cannot make any laws that are in violation or repugnant to the Constitution. And that is the whole thing about legislation. Notice none of this stuff has ever gone to the legislature, right? They're only mandates. Mandates are only suggestions. They have no force of law. Anybody trying to use it like it has force of law is a criminal.
Well, I was just going to say this governor here, I mean, he is just a weasel. This whole state was absolutely on fire. And every day he would come out and preach about masks. I mean, as far as to supporting and trying to help people with fires, that was on his back burner. Neither here nor there, he's an asshole, but excuse my English. But, you know, like for us, he does stuff like on Friday afternoon, like he did Friday at 2:00. But for us as a gym, when the members come in, we do have them sign that sheet. We do give them a temperature check, and we do require them to wear a mask. Now, it's not that, I mean, we could fight that all we want, but that's almost, there's just 50% of the members in the gym that are scared to death because what they're watching on TV. So as opposed to going back and forth, that's suiting us just fine to do that. We don't run around and hassle them and say, get your mask on or anything like that. But at 2:00 last Friday, I believe, he hit us with the fact that now only 50 people can congregate inside, and I forget 150 outside. And he's thinking of strengthening that, like what they did last time was bring us down to 10. We're not going to follow that.
You need to stop following any mandates, period. No offense. You need to stop following these mandates. You need to read our mass tort claim, number one, when you realize that this is economic warfare, okay? This whole COVID-19 is nothing more than a scam that I have backed up all the way to 2003, and nobody, and I repeat, nobody can contradict it. This was started way back in 2003. This is a Trojan horse brought in as a economic warfare, okay? We need to start waking up, learning the law, and fighting back, because you need more people in your business than 50 to be successful, correct?
Yeah, we're not that big, and we have a lot of square footage where even at the way the square footage was, we generally don't have 50 people here at one time. So there's a pros and cons of that. Yes, I wish we did, but we're just not that big. So,
well, at the same point, that's totally irrelevant. What is relevant? Nobody can take your property without due process of law, showing that you committed a crime. Remember what we said about what is a crime? A crime is a known evil, okay, where you've damaged somebody or their property for your own personal gain. That's a crime. That's an evil. Show me where they can get away with shutting you down without due process of law. They can't. And I will step up to the plate every God blessed time. And I will state quite clearly by what authority, because I do recall we're governed by our consent, and government is limited by our consent. Read the Constitution. That is what we use to beat them back with. And most people have forgotten that document. The basis, bedrock of all law.
I just wanted to
I'll
say,
leave the floor.
I just wanted to say this is,
Go ahead.
I've been looking for this, thank you for the information. I've been looking this forever. And this week, my restaurant will go back to normal. I'm going to put all my
Yay.
seats back in and,
There it is.
yeah.
See, now you became a local hero and you didn't even realize it.
There you go.
And you're going to have
I'm not a
more
local
business.
hero. I'm just equipped with the law. So I'm not.
There you go.
Right.
I want to thank
What we
you
look
so
Put it
much.
this
I've
way.
been looking for this for a while. So thank you. Thank you for your knowledge.
Businesses that opened up, well, God brought me here for a reason. And every business, and I mean, we're talking over 10,000 businesses, the barber shop, they've done more business in a very short time than they have in one full year, because they were open and respected the rights of the people. And I'm not kidding you. I know businesses that have had stellar months, restaurants, bars that opened up fully, and the people appreciated it.
Mhm.
And they have done more business than they have ever done, because they stood behind the people and not this tyranny. So God bless.
Yeah.
When we go to other businesses, somebody mentioned like Sam's or King Supers or whatever. This last Friday, I went into King Supers without a mask, was not hassled. Actually had people look at me like, dang, no, well, but the people that were there, it seemed like they were like, dang, I wish I had the courage to do what you're doing. But now in light of what came down on Friday, though, with the governor saying, you might as well shoot grandma if you bring her for Thanksgiving.
So
Yeah, bring a loaded
propaganda.
gun. I mean, totally disgusting. But what can we do now against, is that right there? Okay. So I must have missed that.
Notice of discrimination. And then you go file it with your sheriff.
That's under resources.
Everything that these people are doing is nothing more than fear porn. Okay? It's fear porn. That's it. They have no real weapons. We, the people, have a constitution that we're going to beat them over the head with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
You
this
know,
is Julie again. So I just showed everybody the discrimination notice that you have. So if we continue to be, if we show this at the door and they continue to hassle us, then we call you on your number and you explain it to them, or do we file an affidavit against that business?
You file an affidavit against that business. And if they call the police on you, you say, well, I'm calling the sheriff and I'm going to have you arrested because this is an absolute crime. You're telling me I can't be in this business is as bad as what happened in the 1960s. That's like saying, oh, well, because I'm black, you won't serve me. You see where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, touche. Thank you.
Yeah, and print them off in color. It's a little more intimidating. It looks good with that rattlesnake at the top.
So I have a question. If things get a little elevated eventually, and if we need to do a civil arrest of the governor, which not a big deal, I'm sure it can be done swiftly and fast. But the question is, what to do with the guy? What to do with the guy?
We're not going to do any citizens arrest. I'm telling everybody to stay away from that.
Okay.
Not with the way that until you know how to do it correctly. I mean, look at what happened to guys in Wisconsin, or was it Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't do it. Focus on your sheriff being your sledgehammer. Okay.
And do your homework with the sheriff. You know, go online, look at their bios, just see which one is constitutional, and like I said, do your homework.
Okay, so then sheriff need to be with us in the process, I understand.
In order to arrest, well, you don't have to.
Your sheriff has got to be in the process because he's the one that you elected.
Mm-hmm.
You elected him as your peacekeeper, okay? He has to step up to the plate, and you need to put pressure on him to do his job, just like what I'm doing right now with Sheriff Sean Golden in New Jersey. The reason why I'm still here in New Jersey is because I think I have one sheriff that might make that arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have voter fraud right now behind Sidney Powell. Okay, Sidney Powell, my I don't want to call her my girlfriend, but I love her to death. But she's going to be going after governors too on voter fraud with that Dominion voter counter. They knowingly and willingly tried to change the vote on purpose to keep Donald Trump out.
Well,
if Donald Trump is we need to be his.
I understand.
Go ahead.
So what I do see, not a question, more statement. I see a very deep infiltration of communist ideology in actions of people who are attacking us. So I understand affidavits and everything else is a good thing, but I think this process will continue until we seriously have a very deep conflict between good and bad, light and darkness, because many of those people who are doing all that things actually dedicated ideologically. And it's a little different story here. They just do not care about Constitution. They do not care about law. And they're doing this because it's underground plan for United States. That's my belief. Because we shifted into the global communism, and that's my question. So what are we supposed to do about all that?
Continue to fight and use what laws we have on the books to hold these public servants' feet to the fire. If we don't, if we just sit home and wait for it to blow over, we're going to wake up, in a communist world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last thing I want.
Yeah,
we have to continue to fight. Using the paperwork and the laws that have been afforded to us under the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Anything outside that Constitution is not law. Remember what we said? Marbury versus Madison. Chief Justice John J. Marshall clearly stated in the Supreme Court case, 1803, any law, meaning it went through legislature, any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is no law, has no force of law, and can be ignored. Why the hell are we listening to these health inspectors, liquor board, and God knows whatever else when they're in violation of their oath when they come at you? We, the people, have to stand up and take back our power.
I have a question. I'm curious if it's worth perhaps poking the bear, so to speak.
Don't say when.
And going past all these people and going to not just social media, but actually going to the media with the stuff that you've been talking about. This stuff I've never heard before, and I pay pretty close attention because my restaurant's supposed to only have 25 people in it, and I'm not allowed to serve at the bar, and I'm not allowed to have people stand at the bar, and I've said, no, we're not doing that. And I have 3 places in town. Is it worth me going to the papers and just poking the bear and saying, you know what, I'm done with this, we're done with this, this is why, and put it out in front of everybody? Did you say that to him?
Absolutely. You've got to remember what we said earlier is go look up your liquor license, go look up your health board license. Where in that contract did it say that you would follow these bullshit mandates? Show me where, Mr. Health Inspector, Mr. Liquor Board, show me where it says this in my contract. Because I didn't read contract with
well,
you.
I think you could get even a liberal rag like the Reporter Herald might actually do a report or do something. If we went to them, is that going to cause more damage or is it going to cause more good to stick our faces out there and say, you know what, this is why people, because the people in this community have no idea. It's been a retirement
United we stand. United we stand.
Get a group of you together to do it.
But then again, look at Bob the barber, the 79-year-old Marine that had the barbershop for 50 years that I went up to defend, who is still cutting hair to this day.
And he did that on his own by himself.
Well, just expect a phone call because I got a feeling it once we go, because I'm going to go tomorrow and we'll see what they have to say because I'm not going to put the signs up or anything anymore, just like in Berthoud. My name is Mike Severance.
Not only what they have to say, but you tell me what you have to say and what the knowledge that you have.
And by the one question is always this: by what authority?
Yeah.
Show me how you have authority to trespass on my business. Show me where you have it, because I want to see it. I want to see the contract. I want to see the contract, because if I don't have a contract with you, you have no authority, no business showing up here and threatening me. And the next time you threaten me, I'm going to call my sheriff and have you arrested. That's simple.
Don't answer any questions. Don't answer
you
any
don't
questions.
answer any questions.
Question
without your
from
assistance of counsel. Yeah.
The audience is,
Go ahead.
can we ask them questions? Can we ask the health department questions when they come to inspect?
Absolutely. The number one thing I do when I walk into a courtroom is I attack the judge, number one. I always attack the judge.
Just don't let them trap you, because they might turn around and ask you a question.
You don't make statements.
No, only questions.
You answer questions with questions.
There you go.
And every time you feel you're going to answer a question, bite your finger. It'll remind you that that pain is nothing compared to the pain that they're trying to put you into.
Mm-hmm.
Always ask questions, never answer them. Always ask them. It keeps them on the defensive, and it keeps you on the offensive. Keep kicking the football down the field on them instead of them scoring on you.
Right.
So if I
Hey,
have
before I forget, I'm going to give you guys. Go ahead.
If I have the Colorado law to question, it is illegal for you or any other employee to require someone to wear a mask, and then to quote the Colorado law and ask them, on what authority do you have to force me to violate law?
Well, the bottom line is that this whole scamdemic is a violation of law. And anybody that intrudes on your business is in violation of law. they're in violation of their oath of office. Everybody that is a public servant swears an oath to the Constitution. That's the linchpin. Now, anybody comes at you and says, well, my employee wants to wear a mask. Well, fine, they can wear a mask. My employee doesn't want to wear a mask. Fine, they don't wear a mask. But we're not doing the social distancing. We're not doing any of this nonsense that has no fact in science, let alone law. You can't force me to destroy my business on your say-so when it's not fact-based in law. We, the people, are the ones that run this nation, and we need to get back in the driver's seat.
And not only that, if they continue to do that, you can sue them in their private capacity.
Thank you. Any other questions
Mm-hmm.
from people online? Anybody
Hey,
here?
Julie, before we go any further, can I give you my cell number? If you can't get through to Rick, then call my number as well.
And can you repeat your name as well?
Donna Rex, R-E-X. And my number is 425-923-7511.
And she's my national coordinator. He's over
Everybody saying thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have one question, and then there's another gentleman with a question.
Okay.
Assuming that we file an affidavit and they answer back with a rebuttal within the time period, and the rebuttal isn't sufficient, what is our next recourse?
They perjure themselves.
Put it this way, if they answer back under the directions of an affidavit, they perjured themselves because A, it's not truthful, and we can show that it's not truthful. If you read the affidavit, I would say read the affidavit first and then see how they can rebut it. They can't. So they're not going to rebut it. They may send you a letter, but that letter is not an affidavit. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It has to be sworn and documented. And they might give you a blow-off letter, which is not sworn in, and then you just write them back and say, that's not sufficient. Try it again, bonehead.
Did you explain to them about the formal complaint once we get past that part after the 2-week time frame?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat that? So the next step then would not respond to the blow-off letter, but just repeat what we said before?
Yeah,
How do we
you have to
respond?
waste your time and tell them, hey, that's not sufficient, then you do so. But that letter, you take that to a judge and say, this is not an affidavit. They totally are out of their minds, number one. Number two, you have to rule in my favor because this is an unrebutted affidavit. There is no argument here. So I need a summary judgment against so-and-so.
But you'd like them to try the sheriff first, correct? Or do you want them just to go ahead and?
Well, you go with your sheriff. The sheriff just doesn't know the power that he has.
Most of them don't, yeah. And then if you look on resources too, number 8 is the affidavit of formal complaint. And that's a template for New Jersey. But if you get past, when you get past that 2-week time frame, then that's what you would use to file with the sheriff. And you want to just flood the sheriff's office with these.
Yeah, we just dropped off 500. We did a rally outside the sheriff's office.
Yeah, and I would recommend doing something like that. Or if a rally is coming up and you're past that time frame, you get a mobile notary, and you get a bunch of these copied off at a rally, and then you serve the sheriff with this whole stack of them. Are you still there? Do we have any more questions?
The question came up of where to go to get the actual truth on COVID. And we did have a speaker last week who has that information.
Yeah, that's me and Dr. David Martin. You go to our tort claim, which I incorporated into the affidavit as well. So if you go to resources, go down to the tort claim.
The very bottom is the tort claim.
The very bottom is the tort claim. It's only 6 pages. It's worth copying and reading, because you're going to educate yourself, number one. Number two, you're going to educate others because you have facts in law that are undisputable. That's why if a governor or public servant even tries to go against this, guess what? They've opened themselves up to perjury charges.
Cool.
I can also be of assistance in that if you would like. I can email you any of the data in about 30 seconds. I just need an email.
This is Julie Shannon. Just send it to me at keepcofree@gmail.com. Hi. Just send it to me and then I'll forward it to everybody. Okay.
Is that COVID-19?
You bet.
Thank you.
It's got everything.
All right.
It's not for you, Dr. King. It's got everything in here.
Yeah, we got more evidence of the scam than you can imagine.
400 pages. So Julie, can I get your email and then I'm going to forward this to you? We have not thoroughly gone through this, but Rick will look at it tonight, but it's all the evidence you need to know about the truth about COVID-19. I'll forward it to you.
Just reply to the email that I sent you the Zoom link on.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got it in there. Okay.
All right.
Not a problem. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do we want any more questions or should we let them go?
Well, my attitude is, we got any ministers in the room?
Any pastors and ministers in the room?
Oh, yes. Yes, there is.
Good. Let them lead us out in prayer.
You can say a prayer, please.
Yeah, just one quick thing, if you can give us a little bit of inspiration. What do you think the odds are of this election getting flipped? I mean, we know we were ripped off. What's your personal opinion? And I know you can't go into a bunch of it, but just your gut feeling.
I already know we've got Sidney Powell, who is a good friend of mine, working with Donald Trump. She was the one that got General Flynn released and part of the team. And I'll tell you this, he's like me. If I walk into speculation, I walk into a courtroom with the facts, and then I demand that you deny those are facts. So Sidney Powell is going to kick some ass. And guess what? Donald Trump is still the sitting president.
There's a Stop the Steal fund that we can donate to. I can send you the link. I donated already to it twice.
All right, if everyone wants to join me in prayer. Father God, we just come to you right now in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And I just want to say thank you, Lord. Thank you for opening our eyes to the truth. We thank you for this great country that was founded on your principles, Lord. Our founding fathers knew what they were doing. And we just thank you for the wisdom of both Rick and Donna here tonight, that we will stand, that we will stand strong, Lord, and that we will seek your guidance and your wisdom, Lord, for each and every step of the way Father, that there will no longer be this tyranny going on here in Larimer County, in Colorado, in our nation. We say, light be in the name of Jesus. We thank you for the lies of the enemy that are being exposed each and every day, and for justice to be done and to be done swiftly. Father, we love you and we thank you and we praise you. And we thank you once again for your wisdom that will lead us and guide us each and every step of the way. And we pray this in the mighty name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick and Donna. We really, really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Everybody's chiming
Like,
in. Thank you.
Yep.
We'll be in
Stay
touch.
All right. God bless. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So this is the next step. So this is the next step is I can email this to you, or you can go on the website in the resources tab of constitutionallawgroup.com.us, constitutionallawgroup.us. Download the affidavit / declaration of truth. It has to the governor public servant in there, and start putting your story in there. We will get the Colorado statutes and or articles that apply and have you guys, we'll get that to you so that you know what to add. But it has to be personalized about how you've been personally damaged. So for you, whatever your reduction in revenue is and how that's affected you, it has to be in there. Okay. You can write it to, do we want to start with the health department first, or do we want to go after several? Do we want to do? Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Yep. Yep. But thank you. So I can get you the names of the health department officials here within Larimer County. And I can get you, we want the Board of Health and the health department. Do we want commissioners? So, okay. Okay. So just write up your generic and then you can print multiple copies. Just change who it's addressed to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Then you got to invite them to the meetings and they got to come. Like, yeah. Right. 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 Yeah. 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 I mean, if you figure out the magic bullet, awesome, because we have 6,000 people on our social media account. We have a mailing list of 500 people. We have flyers that we distribute every week. You know what I mean? It's like all over the place. So, I mean, people have to respond. So, this doesn't get, well, I don't think it gets deleted, but it may not get spread as far as it needs to get spread. But anyhow, if you have ideas for how to get it out further, I mean, mhm. Right. 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 Can you guys online hear what we're talking about? You can't?
I think it's gotten to, yeah, sorry. I think it's gotten to the point where I think restaurants are more willing to now because you really cross the line when you have to take your customer's name and number in order to do business with them. That's wrong. Oh yeah, we're gonna take a video and put it out on our social networks to say that we're gonna not follow the rules anymore, or bigger videos. Yeah, yeah.
I have to do a little homework because I don't want to sound like a doofus standing there talking about things. But again, I don't live this. I live it because it's affecting me so strongly, and I want to be involved, and I want to be able to make change, and I want to be able to affect stuff. And it's like the same old thing. Well, fight, fight, fight. Anyway, I want to be smart. I want to fight smart.
Yeah.
Very, very loyal clients that are, sorry, I have loyal clients that have told me flat out, Miss Holly, if they tell us all to stay home, we're still coming in for class, right? Yes, I'm staying open. I will not close. I will not limit, and I will not do all of this. But if we put this together as a tutorial, as these are the steps we can take, these are the laws. Know that you're breaking the law if you do this. Break it up into 5-minute sound bites or little bites, because I create historically accurate princess dances, and so I would happily, I can easily. How-to videos is what I do, right? And so I would be happy to film it. There's no problem creating a soundstage or going on location at your restaurant and saying, this is it. This is the impact. Yeah, so COVID's this little tiny wave. Well, poverty's a tsunami coming at us. Sorry.
It's just hard. I think like she said, they have crossed the line now. It was before, and I haven't done, people think and somebody said, well, you think you're above the law. And I said, well, it's not the law anyway. But then I faced the backlash of public opinion, which I really could care less about, but I'm also a businessman and I do care about. And this country is 50-50, and it's 50 freaking 50. And we've got to get it to where it's 51-49 in our favor, which means we have to put our foot on the gas and start rolling the thing downhill. And if we get to 51-49, then the 49 can shut the hell up, and I won't care about public opinion. I'll still have plenty of people coming in the restaurant.
I want to say, and I truly believe this with all my heart, the country's 75-25. It's just the 25 are so freaking loud that nobody wants to stand up against them. And the reason I say that is my stomach hurt taking a political stand, and I actually got busier. And when even this weekend, I told this customer, don't come in. I don't understand why you came in when you know my stance. They came in so they can write a review to tell how, and look at the reviews. So COVID unfriendly, you know? Yeah. So don't come in. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just saying it's time to take a stance, because if we don't, we're not gonna have a business to go back to.
That's true.
See, the problem here is you mentioned 25%. It's less than 25%. The communist taking countries over with very low numbers because everybody's sleeping. Okay, that's why they call Bolsheviks or Mensheviks in Soviet Union, which I came from. They said we are Bolsheviks. This means we more than you, and it's a complete lie. So it's all psychology. There's nothing else in there. Psychology and push. Psychology and push. That's why the activists, like look at Obama, walking the streets screaming in Chicago, oh, yeah, vote for Biden, all kind of stuff. They're aggressive and they never sleep. So if I say, okay, is anything good about communism at all? Well, in the beginning, they're not lazy. That's for sure. After that, they become lazy because everything is done and trashed. So my opinion, in 6-8 months in this country, probably be only 10% small businesses left alive, maybe less. That's all. You said 40 million people now unemployed, it will be 100 million unemployed. They go because under communism, you don't have any businesses. You don't belong to anything except the state, including your body, by the way. Maybe even your soul, I don't know, if you're willing to. So this is what I'm trying to say. We're dealing with serious enemy, okay? That's not the easy enemy, it's an enemy, and it's a serious one. So, and this is just, we need to understand the enemy first, I suppose, to win the battle. But I just want to tell you, it's always less than us. But we, like a big elephant, cannot move around in a, in a room. But they like a little, mice drilling into the elephant's foot. That's what's happening. Bite by bite, bite by bite. So this process starts even before Obama, but I mean, Obama did a lot of damage. A lot of people infiltrated in all kinds of departments with Obama in 8 years, tons of it. And what I'm saying, I go to work right now, I'm just all what I see is equality here and equality there. Think they care about COVID? They don't care about COVID. They care about equality. Are you equal enough with me? I don't know. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. And I say, no, Governor Gordon, we're not all in this together. I know where you're coming from with your little bodies in there, like police. So don't think Republicans and Democrats, they're different, they're the same, all right? So, and I don't want to go aggressive like I mentioned, oh yeah, let's take the guy. Okay, in 6-8 months, we'll be talking about that. I'm sorry, but this is coming.
And I think I have a question back. What's your first name? Because I hung on to that stupid meeting, the health department meeting. I don't know how long you guys were on. I was in there just about to the end. And what's their message? Their message, well, number one, I mean, that was the general tone, is you don't matter. But at the end, the PR person came on. And they have their propaganda all set of how they are going to approach the holidays. And it's not so much they don't want anybody changing that message. They say you want to duplicate this message so that it goes out and it is uniform. Now, is that communism or not?
Oh, yes.
Well,
Oh,
you're
yes.
dealing with the psychopaths. I mean,
Oh,
these
yes.
people, I mean, they have some screw bolts in their head. So when I'm viewing them, it's a two category of communists. I learned and I met them and I was part of them. One is dedicated. Be afraid of them. Dedication comes with a story. I don't need nothing in my life whatsoever. I don't even need all my clothes, okay? Because they're a bunch of bums, all right? With a big idea of dystopia and all that stuff. But the point is they're dangerous because they're dedicated. They're willing to die for what they believe, by the way. There's another category of communists who look like, oh yeah, I'm a communist, but they have a nice life, but not for you, for them only. So that's how Soviet Union built. That's how China built. Even now, everybody look China. Oh, they all have open capital. They don't have capitalism at all. You might get rich, but might be executed next week if you step on somebody's toe.
Yeah,
Well,
Dr.
how
Shepard,
rich
you're
you are.
not entirely wrong. You're not wrong. Let's put it that way. That part of the big agenda is getting rid of the middle class.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sustainable development, that's what it's called. Came from China, by the way, statement.
Yeah.
Gave idea to UN, now UN. Oh, that's a good idea, Chinese. Thank you. Let's sustainably develop ourselves. So I'm trying to say, the enemy is big, have a long, sharp teeth. The problem, we gave them that teeth. And unfortunately, I don't want to be aggressive in any way, in any shape. But I know how they work. They're bloody, they're thieves, and they're liars. They have no conscience, and they have no limits. So if they kill, they will kill us. They will kill our families, our children enslaved. And I'm sorry to say that, a little bit too much maybe, but that's because of my inside my heart. So I born under communism. I grew up under communism. I raised in there. My both parents was communists, and there's nothing good about it at all, by the way. So what I'm trying to say, law, well, if we become lawless country, that's the end of us. I understand that. But you need to understand, we're all sitting here. You already all outlaw here, all of you. You just not get that yet. They view you as domestic terrorists right now. You're just meeting right here for this purpose. So I say this is a line in the sand where you want to go. You can go with the darkness or you can stay in the light of Christ. Because there's only one light, I know. So, but the point is, I don't want to give a speech here, but we have a serious, educated, progressive enemy, okay? And they view us as enemies also. So I'm sorry, we're not friends and never will be. We will not be friends with them. And if you think you can be friends with them, then you need to watch your back because they will stab you very deep and very fast. What they're doing now with small businesses, they're stabbing you slowly. It's a plan to destroy you. 25 people in a room, 10 people in a business. They know you perish eventually. You cannot even pay rent. They're not stupid. They just give you a little, it's called slow killing, okay? Slow, smooth, soft killing. That's what it is going on now in the country. So if I say they don't know what they're doing, oh yes, they do. And that's unfortunate for us.
Under the agenda, under the Great Reset, the agenda 2030-21, Fort Collins is listed on as a member of the Sustainable Development is a code word for communism. So they're listed. I suppose Boulder, Denver. So.
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to follow up with what Dr. Shepard was saying, because I believe 100% that you know exactly what you're talking about. And I believe everything you said is true. What they're not counting on is the dark horse of Americans who have no fear. And I'm one of them. And I think a lot of people in this room we know the Christed light. Some of us have had our worst nightmares come true already in our lives. Nothing scares us, including that horrible monster that we know we're coming up against. So that's why I'm saying the time is now, because he's exactly right. I haven't heard anyone from King Soopers or Walmart or any of these large, huge stores saying, oh, the health department is coming to shut me down. But these little restaurants and the little cafes and the little mom and pop stores are the ones who are suffering. It is a slow kill. And so we're saying, hell no, no way. Yeah. Well, we just stand. We just stand. We really don't have to be that aggressive. We just say, because we have the Constitution. We have something in our country that other countries do not have, and we have to avail ourselves of that.
All right.
Yeah, they don't know what they're up against.
No, they don't. So next Sunday is a forum with the Republican candidates for governor who are going to be in the race to replace Polis if the recall goes through. The recall there was an extension filed to have another 90 days to collect signatures because of the hardship due to COVID. We have not heard if they accepted that. But either way, we have to know who the candidates are for 2022. And if we get rid of Polis and he's arrested, then we got to have somebody in there. So that's what's next week. It's at 6 o'clock though, I think, instead of 6:30. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard. I know when they were scanning petition booklets that a lot of the booklets were only half full or maybe had 10 signatures. There were also many that were completely full. So there were some completely empty, some completely full, and everything in between. So I don't know how many they ended up having, but the extension was filed way back in September, but they've just been stalling probably. I don't know what they're going to say. Gosh, it's so corrupt. So anyhow, I think it's 6 o'clock. We haven't found a location yet. I asked the same place that we always meet on Tuesday nights if we could meet there for that meeting. So we'll post that when we know for sure. But what I was going to ask is, do we want to meet before that meeting and get all of our affidavit questions answered? How do we keep this process moving forward? Like,
I just attended a business meeting, business owners meeting for Republicans. And I only attended by Zoom, but my name's in there. And it's amazing what these people are talking about. They're talking.
just a second. There's two people talking. Just a second. Just a second. No, it's okay. Was somebody online talking? Was someone online talking and asking a question? Okay, I'm going to hand the microphone to one of the people here that's live.
Oh my God. They're talking about filing affidavits, suing the health department, suing the governor.
What's your question? Whoever just spoke on the Zoom call, what's your question?
I kind of briefly told Liz that I might attend this meeting. She went off on me and said, it's that she said exactly what they say on TV that Democrats say is you need to accept the new president and you need to calm down and support him. He's your president now.
Are you talking to us on the Zoom call? Hello? I don't think she's talking to us. Okay, I'm going to hand the microphone.
Hi. Just a suggestion. And I don't know how to fill out the affidavit stuff. I haven't gone through all of it, and I know most of you probably have it because we just got it. But conceptually, somebody in here is going to be relatively smart and go through it and figure out all the stuff that needs to be done. And then so that everybody else can leverage that kind of success, why don't we set up a how-to video? Because my wife is really good at how-to videos here. And then we put together a tutorial of what steps need to be done, and talk a little bit about, depending on if you're local in Larimer County, your city council, your mayors, figure out the appropriate people for your area, make sure you get their information, and just have a party. Basically, just, once we do the how-to, try to make it relatively focused. This is the affidavit. Here's what you need to fill in this section, this section. This needs, some of it's going to be specific. It's going to be different for a restaurant business than it is for our gyms versus our ballroom dance studios, whatever your business. No, the harm to you is individual. He even said that in the thing. He said the harm to you is the harm to you is individual. Yeah, but majority of it's going to be the same. So once we figure that out, do up a video and we share it with as many people as we can find that wants to do this. Once somebody figures out the process, we can.
Right. So that's my question. Do we want to meet next Sunday afternoon? Okay. Right. 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 So Allison's going to head up a team to streamline the process and get that documented. Do you want to head up a team to do the video business? Okay. And then what everybody else needs to be doing is writing what the personal harm is that you've been caused through the restrictions. So I'm not sure if there's an example of that personal harm in the affidavit. Can you hand that to me behind there on the counter? I don't know if they give an example of that in there or not. Let's see.
Hey, Julie.
Yes.
So I just got on the event Facebook page, and the meeting next Sunday is scheduled for 6.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember if it's 6 or 6:30. I get them mixed up. We might be able to find examples of what other people have written about the harms that they've experienced, but I think everybody can do pretty well with, this is how it's affected my revenues, this is how many employees it's affected, this is, on and on. So if we can get that together, do you guys want to meet before that meeting and have a follow-up so we keep things moving along? Or yeah, you guys want to meet earlier? Everybody's got to be writing their personal story for the affidavit. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Yep. Okay. So then Sunday or not Sunday? Just so we keep the ball. Like 3 o'clock. Can we meet 3 o'clock here, Danny? He's gone. Here? 3 o'clock next Sunday? Yeah. Okay. So we'll be back here at 3. Get your stories written, insert them into the affidavit, and then we'll get the additional changes made, the specifics. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and so then be ready to call the sheriff and put him on speed dial. Oh, do it. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Right. Right. So next thing, if they come to visit you, start videoing. Try to remember to start videoing.
If you get some bad reviews or something from the health department, they show up at best every 6 months because they don't have anybody. I've had three health department people in the last 2 years, and that's pretty unusual. So the deal is, I've seen my health department lady walking down the alley between my two places probably 10 times in the last 2 weeks. So
I just want to say something about if you have to interact with a health department, remember that these are actual people who are in a system that is horrible, and a lot of them are just completely ignorant. And I'm using that in the purest sense of the word, that there are maybe a few of them that know exactly what they're doing, but I believe that the majority of them have no idea. They don't know the Constitution. They don't know the law. And so let's just re-emphasize civility and, you know, treating them like fellow human beings, not like they are not particularly the enemy. They are caught in a very dark web. And so we can politely and in a friendly manner educate them and inform them, and then take it from there.
So we'll see you guys at 3 o'clock next week. I'll post the event because there's a 6 o'clock forum with the Republican governor candidates. 6 o'clock. Well, I have to be there to start setting up at 5. So. Yeah, we don't know where we're going to meet. Well, we don't know yet, Bob. We don't know where it's at. I asked, but they haven't approved it. 3:30 is better for you? Thank you. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll let you know. So just have 3:30 ready. Thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.